Okay, here's a little tip in relation to protecting your wrist. Now, the wrist is one of the weakest points of your body. Now, if you're a regular weight trainer, you'll understand this. And often we don't think about protecting our joints when we lift weight. Our mind goes to the fact that we just need to get through each set, and we do whatever we can to do that. Whereas in point of fact, one of the first things to go is your weakest point, right? You're only as strong as your weakest point. So we need to protect the wrist. So whenever you're doing any sort of press-based movement, whether it's a bench press, a shoulder press, incline, Smith machine press, you want to protect the wrist. If you have a look at the wrist, it needs to be in that position. So it's straight up and down from the knuckle through the forearm. Often when we take a bar, we rotate the wrist backwards. So we're pressing through the top of the wrist. So it's hard to see. I might get a lighter weight to demonstrate so that you can clearly see what's going on. So often when the weight's heavy, the wrist will roll back. So if I stay side on, so all of the pressure, all of the weight ends up being here. If we go closer in like that, it ends up being here, whereas we want it down the forearm. So it's important to roll the weight back. This is integral to progressing and not succumbing to any sort of injury around the wrist. So when you're pressing, often the best position to be in is exactly that. A bar, Smith machine, dumbbell, whatever it is you're pressing needs to sit directly over the forearm so that you've got all of this generating force towards the weight. If you allow the weight to roll back and sit higher on the palm, you're going to naturally put pressure on the wrist, pressure on the joint. Next thing you know, it's going to sit back like that. So good tip is roll the knuckles forward, make sure the weight's over the wrist at any given time. Use wrist straps to protect your wrist as well, and that will allow you to protect your wrist, generate good force through that movement, and obviously progress in the press movement that you're tackling.